Warm and sunny weather out here in beautiful Tempe has been the norm for a little bit now, but the true mark of spring is spring football practice. Hi, Sun Devil fans. I'm Zach Keenan for DevilsDigest.com alongside our publisher, Hode Rubino. If you haven't checked out our offensive preview yet, make sure you do that first, but we'll switch to defense now. Maybe some less questions here, Hode, as this defense looks to return all 11 of its starters and many very talented players as well. We take a look at the defensive line first for our preview, and this is the similar time last year when many people had serious doubts about the defensive line, but then the USC game came around in week 1 and all of those claims were immediately rebuked, were they not?
Yeah, absolutely. And look, I mean, full confession, I was one of the pundits that this time last year had some serious questions about the defensive line, really thinking it was the weak link on this side of the ball. And look, when it comes to college sports, we really live in a world of what you've done for me lately. And in 2019, this defensive line definitely did not come into the 2020 season, as crazy as that season was, really garnering a lot of confidence, really setting a high level of expectations. What a difference a year makes, Zach, because coming into 2021, there is zero apprehensions about this defensive line. The biggest and most pleasant surprise of this Sun Devil team in 2020 was definitely the front four. And when you talk about really defying expectations, Michael Matus in that USC game really set the tone. There were a lot of eyebrows raised and maybe some vocal displeasure about how somebody like Matus, who really did close to nothing in his first couple years in Tempe, is now a starting player on a unit, which again had so many question marks to begin with. Well, Michael Matus was able to silence the critics pretty fast. I know that put a big smile on Robert Rodriguez's face, the first-year defensive line coach for Arizona State, and I think really when it comes to the play of this defensive line, a lot of it has to do from the shift from a 3-4 to a 4-3, and also Rodriguez, in my opinion, just really hitting all the right buttons, and Michael Matus is Exhibit A in a resounding fashion. So that is somebody who you definitely expect to take the next step in 2021 because he had such a great, strong foundation in 2020 to build. When you look opposite on the defensive end, on the line at a guy like Tyler Johnson, which I think, in contrast to Matus, did show quite a bit of flashes in his first 2 years, but consistency was always an issue. And now coming into 2021, he is the sack leader for ASU, had 5 sacks in 4 games last year. Somebody who is a bona fide NFL talent, maybe could have gone to the NFL after this 2020 season, decided to come back, and he's definitely coming back as one of the best pass rushers in this conference. And again, I think this level of consistency is something that maybe eluded him in 2018 and 19, but in 2020 he definitely showed that trait and showed it in spades. And I think in 2021 he can definitely be one of the better defensive ends to come through these gates of Sun Devil Stadium. When you look at the interior of the line, Jermaine Lole, I think in contrast to both the two players I mentioned prior to him, he was actually somebody that you did have high expectations for. I think he showed a lot in his first years, in first couple of years in Tempe, really being a consistent, steady player. But the shift to the four lineman front, now putting him in the interior in the 3 technique, really fit him like a glove. You definitely saw some shades of Will Sutton. Some 9-8 years ago, somebody that was absolute menace in the middle. And really, Jermaine Lole maybe didn't always make a play, but just him occupying so much attention from an opposing offensive line really free up guys like Matus and Tyler Johnson to make plays. So he's somebody that you definitely look to be the star of this defensive line in 2021. And again, just somebody who I feel just got better and better each and every year. And again, when you talk about this four down lineman alignment, something that really has benefited him quite a bit. And the nose tackle, DJ Davidson, I always say, like, if you talk about the nose tackle, it's probably in a negative connotation, maybe like a kicker or a punter. But DJ Davidson is somebody who was able to clog the middle quite well. Again, I think just the talent around him, getting the coaching he got from Robert Rodriguez really helped him a lot. So there's a really talented back seven playing behind this defensive line, and a lot of folks, again, including myself, were kind of wondering, if this defensive line can't set the tone for ASU, does it really matter how much talent you have at linebacker or in the secondary? Well, again, that theory went out of the window very, very quickly. Even in the games against USC and UCLA, I mean, sure that there were in the loss column, but I think the defensive line played well in those cases, and obviously in the 2 wins against Arizona and Oregon State. So really anxious to see if this defensive line, which again I think is coming with a whole different attitude, a whole different swagger compared to spring practice in 2020, can really elevate their play that much, because again there is a lot of talent behind them at linebacker and at the secondary.
The linebackers, the heart of the ASU defense last year, and not only were they highlighted by the stalwarts like Darian Butler, Kyle Soley, but also the new guys. There were so many reserves that stepped up to the spotlight, some of those guys returning as well.
Yeah, and if you talk about the heartbeat of the defense being the linebacker group, I think the heartbeat of this group is definitely Merlin Robertson, another player I think much like Tyler Johnson and some others on the team that could have left it for the NFL draft after the 2020 season, and he definitely had a good season, which I think gave him a lot of pause, a lot of thought whether he should make that move or not. But he feels like a lot of other players on the team that really has unfinished business. And Merlin Robinson really played much better in 2020 than he did in 2019. And let's not forget, when he first came to ASU in 2018, he was freshman defensive player of the year in the conference. He had a tragedy with his dad passing away the following year, had some other issues that really I think caused him to take a step back. But in 2020, he was able to put all that behind him and really put a great season. Even though there's only 4 games, I think the way he played against USC may have been his best game as a Sun Devil. And there's no doubt that Merlin Robinson is the straw that stirs the drink, if you will. And if Merlin Robinson is playing at a high level, that creates the exact domino effect you want, not only for the linebackers, but really for the entire defense. So I don't know if there's any player on either side of the ball that's coming with a higher level expectations than a guy like Merlin Robinson. But you can definitely expect a lot of good things from him. And again, the foundation that he had in 2020, I think, can only elevate his play that much more. This could be his last year at Arizona State, and I think that maybe that's another incentive, if you will, for him to really perform at the highest level he ever did in Tempe. When you talk about Robin to the Batman, as Antonio Pierce likes to say, Darren Butler, he's somebody that is just Mr. Consistency. You know exactly what you're going to get from him each and every game, and last year was really no exception. Really playing at a high level. Him and Robinson are not only good friends off the field, but really complement each other really well on the field, and just to have a proven veteran come back, like you said, all 11 starters coming back on defense, is really just an absolute asset. And Darren Butler is somebody who we can definitely expect quite a bit in 2021, just because of what he did back in 18, 19, and 2020. And Kyle Soley, maybe kind of like in that Michael Matus vein, where you talk about somebody who really did not know what to expect. And here he is starting, but I think we got a quote-unquote warning shot when he was actually named a team captain, somebody who barely played in his first 2 years in Tempe. But he's somebody that Antonio Pierce, the then linebackers coach and now the defensive coordinator, always talked highly about him. And there's always talented players playing ahead of him. And honestly, I mean, part of me was wondering, with the great season that Kalen Chris Thomas had in 2019, can Kyle Soley really fill those shoes? Well, he ended the season second in team tackles, and really was able to just feed off maybe the extra attention that guys like Butler and Robinson were getting on each and every down. So just an absolute asset to have an upperclassman, somebody who's one of the smartest players on the team, come back as a starting linebacker. Really just makes that group that much stronger. But like you said, some of the freshmen out last year really gave you a lot of reason to be excited. I guess one of the good things, many good things, I guess, blowing out a team like Arizona is having guys like Caleb McCullough and Jordan Banks play more than just a handful of snaps, and both of them got interceptions in that game. Then you talk about a guy like Will Schaefer, maybe playing more on special teams than as a linebacker, but I know somebody that Antonio Pierce really has high expectations of too. So in terms of the two deep at linebacker for Arizona State, you really have a lot of talent over there. And again, we talk about the heartbeat of the defense. It's not only just a cute cliche, but I just really feel that you got some talent over there that, again, their play can just really affect in a very positive way the rest of the defense for Arizona State.
You mentioned seniors, and in the defensive backfield, the seniors are a huge part of this. Almost all seniors in the defensive backfield, and while with the eligibility freeze in 2021, that may not be all that rare, but you can't deny how important that is to have that experience in an ultra competitive Pac-12. ASU just returning, we mentioned all 11 on defense, but the defensive backfield should be poised for a great season this year, right?
Yeah, I think much like the running backs, if it's not broken, don't fix it, because that unit really played at a high level, and all the four projected starters right now are seniors. 3 of them are 6-year seniors. Again, eligibility freeze will have what usually is an anomaly now be commonplace in the Pac-12 and the rest of college football, but there's no substitute for experience. And when you return that much experience, which I think in the position that's the most vital in a very pass-happy Pac-12, it really is worth its weight in gold. Let's start talking about the cornerbacks in Chase Lucas, somebody who as a redshirt freshman was the only underclassman on the all Pac-12 team. Again, you talk about that dreaded sophomore slump. I think it affected him. Showed some progress as a junior, but I think in 2020, even though it was a 4-game season, he really came into his own as a lockdown corner. And if you make a short list of the best cornerbacks returning in the Pac-12, there's no way you cannot include Chase Lucas in that group, just to have that element of swagger of confidence from a position that really has to exhibit swagger and confidence all the time against some very talented quarterbacks and wide receivers. To have Chase Lucas as your starting quarterback is really an absolute asset. At the other starting quarterback, that's going to be a little interesting, because Jack Jones did start the first game but was suspended for most of the season. He's somebody who was a 5-star prospect out of high school, obviously played for USC, left USC, and after 1 year in a junior college, came to Arizona State. Had a pretty good 2019 season, and like I said, 2020, things really did not go his way. But he's battling for the starting position with Tamarcus Davis, somebody who maybe had high expectations coming off his redshirt year and maybe didn't fulfill them right away in 2019. But in 2020, I think he complemented Chase Lucas quite well. Both of them, by the way, each had 5 pass breakups. So there's going to be a really interesting battle to see who can actually not just starting position. I wouldn't be surprised if it's Jack Jones, but Tamarcus Davis definitely has some good game film, if you will, from 2020 to make his argument. So that's maybe one under the radar battle, if you will, in spring practice. It's really going to be interesting to see how it does unfold. Moving over to safety, Evan Fields, when you talk about a trajectory of a player that really had no peaks, no valleys, is just every year improved more and more. So no surprise to see him as the leading tackler in 2020. He forced 3 fumbles. I really think in that specific statistical category, he just has the knack for creating that specific turnover. But an absolute veteran talent, proven player who, as well as he played in 2020, I wouldn't be surprised if he takes it to a different level in 2021. He really is that talented. And the other starting safety is DeAndre Pierce. And when you have that last name, I know the nepotism card just gets flashed right away. But I think also that nepotism theory got thrown out of the window as quickly as it came into discussion, because, yes, DeAndre Pierce is the son of Antonio Pierce, but he rightfully earned that position. One of the smartest players on the team. Ironically, he came with Zach Hill from Boise State, if you will. So whatever, whatever tricks Zach Hill was trying to run on offense, DeAndre Pierce has seen it many times before. He's somebody that really had a injury-riddled career at Boise State, so maybe came a bit as of an unknown. And again, there was some narrative over there that a lot of us served to him on a silver platter, but trust me, I think anybody watching him in those 4 games know that he earned everything that he did receive. Really complimented Evan Fields quite well as the two starting safeties, and realized I just think that's the relationship between the safeties and the cornerbacks was really a productive one. You always talk about the secondary wanting to be this no-fly zone. And maybe that's something that's closer than ever to achieve in Tempe, because, again, there's no substitute to experience. So really talented younger players, by the way, playing behind them, both the cornerbacks and safety. But this is positioned much like running backs. The expectations are really sky high. If it's not broken, don't fix it. And this is definitely one position that I think is going to benefit quite nicely from a solid defensive line and linebacker group, but But even if you put them there on an island, forcing them to be the playmakers, I think they've proven last year that they're really definitely up to the task, and they definitely complement what I think should be one of the best defensive units we've seen in Tempe in a long time. Again, you want to see that in spring practice, that they're not taking any step back, and they're really improving. And also, going back to our discussion on the offense, I think you're going to see a better passing game challenge them in practice day in and day out. So these defensive backs are definitely going to step it up. But again, with all the talent they have over there, I have no concerns whatsoever that they are up to the task.
Great expectations from this guy on the ASU defense. 11 starters last year, all returning this year. That does it for our defensive preview. And if you missed the offensive preview, make sure you scroll down, take a look in the description, and click on that link because you don't want to miss that one as well. In the meantime, we are so close to that March 3rd start date for these 15 ASU spring football practice sessions. In the meantime, for our publisher, Hoda Rubino, I'm Zach Keenan, reminding you to keep it locked in to DevilsDigest.com and stay followed to our Twitter @DevilsDigest. We'll see you next time for ASU Spring Football.